everyone. My name is Shoshana Resnikoff, and I'm a curator at the Wolfsonian FIU. Today, we're going to talk about the basics of reading an image as part of a larger discussion of media literacy. But first, I wanted to share a little bit about the wolf. The Wolfsonian is a museum of decorative arts, design, and material culture, and we've been part of FIU since 1997. We're located on South Beach and are open and free to FIU students. Our object and library collection is here to be a resource for all of you, so please don't hesitate to reach out, visit, or request research support. We have a full staff of employees who want to make this material relevant and exciting for you. Our collection focuses on the period of 1850 to 1950 and the regions of the United States, Europe, and associated colonies. But the critical looking skills that we're going to explore with the Wolfsonian's collections can honestly be applied to images and objects from throughout time, both far back in the past and in the present, and even around you today. The Wolfsonian's collection is particularly useful for discussions of media literacy and developing critical looking skills, though, because we have some of the largest propaganda collections in the country. Propaganda, of course, is communication, in the Wolfsonian's case, visual communication, used to influence public opinion, guide an audience, or promote a specific agenda. At the Wolfsonian, we have large collections of American, as well as Nazi, Italian fascist, and Soviet propaganda. And these can take the form of posters, as you've just seen in the last two images, as well as banners, publications, medallions, sculptures, paintings, and other objects. Beyond propaganda, however, almost all images really can be read for their messages, from advertisements to fine art. This is, of course, an advertisement from 1917 for Arga, for a light bulb, essentially. We can read a lot into this image as well. We'll be exploring how to analyze images across production techniques and across sort of goals, and apply those critical looking skills to understanding images from the Wolfsonian's collection. So how are we going to do this? Well, I like to start with an image dissection. I actually included this painting on this slide as a little bit of an art history joke. It is not from the Wolfsonian's collection. It is a Rembrandt. We do not have a Rembrandt. It is the anatomy lesson of Dr. Nicholas Tulp from 1632. And anatomy lessons and dissections were really important in early modern medicine, for understanding the human body and understanding how it worked. Interestingly, artists also had a great appreciation for anatomy lessons and for dissection because it allowed them to understand how the body worked, which helped them to better represent it in paint and in print. And so the dissection here really plays an important role for both the medical school students and Rembrandt himself. And that's really, I think, the goal that I want to bring into, the energy that I want to bring into the deconstructing an image is that in understanding how the image comes together, we can better understand what it's trying to accomplish. So the first thing to understand about reading an image and dissecting it is that sometimes images are really simple and sometimes they're more complex. Propaganda and advertisements do tend to be on the simpler side because that's kind of the most direct way to get your message across. So with something like this, we can start we can take a pretty simple approach. So this is a poster. It's designed by Norman Rockwell, and it really invites you to focus on the main message and then the limited text. So here we see a Thanksgiving meal with a family and abundant food, and then we read the text. It says, "Ours to fight for freedom from want." And so you could start with the image and then go to the text, and that's like a really simple 1-2 process. Interestingly, this poster was designed as part of a series made for the Office of War Information during World War II. Rockwell was taking the premise, the 4 freedoms, from a famous State of the Union's address that President FDR gave in 1941, in which he argued that there were really 4 universal inalienable freedoms, calling back to the Declaration of Independence, but arguing that these were almost broader freedoms that all human beings had the right to. And they were freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from fear, and freedom from want. And so they're kind of two positive freedoms and then two freedoms of absence. And that really became one of the ideological underpinnings for the United States entering World War II. And so this is an incredibly important series of posters, and they're also incredibly simple. Central image, simple text. Not all images are that simple, however. Others might be more complicated, but still picking a point from which to read it and then going from there and taking it apart helps you to understand it better. You can sometimes read an image from left to right, from right to left. It's entirely up to you. Or with an image like this, you might want to start from the center. This is a triptych, a triple panel painting from the Italian artist Alessandro Buscetti. And I like to start in the center because it's where the most of the action is, and it's where the most definable forms are. And to me, the most definable form is this triple head and right in the center. This is Benito Mussolini. And you can see that he is looking to the left, to the center, and to the right. So you could say, well, he's looking in multiple directions. What is he seeing? Well, he could be looking at all sorts of things, but because we see also different time periods represented in this painting, old architecture, new architecture, old military, new military, he's looking from the past, the present, and the future. And so from there, we can begin to deconstruct the whole painting once we have that concept down. It's really the central component of the work, and it's also the central concept of the painting. So no matter what approach we take when we deconstruct an image and disassemble it into its parts, we can scan it and begin to apply the critical looking skills that we need to figure out what is going on.